Hello, YouTube. We're going to start another live session here. I'm back home from Chicago, back in Japan. And things are doing pretty good. I'm reorganizing everything, reorganizing my whole kind of life to make it more focused on doing astrology. I'm going to focus on it, take it up to the next level there. Because my Saturn dasha is starting, so it's the right time for that. Anyway, you can expect to get some new courses and readings and stuff like that within the next week or so from me. Right, so the schedule for today is that we will be doing the mantra for Mars and Jupiter. I think I may have misscheduled this and told people the wrong time, but hopefully you guys are there. All right, so yeah, we're going to continue with our series on mantras. We looked at mantras in general, and we said that these are the best way for addressing the issues connected with the planet. And we're looking at this ṛhaspate chapter in Shastra, where it's very interesting. The whole approach to doing astrological therapy isn't reverse engineered from a chart. It's just forward thinking from your life. It's where you think, I wish I had more bravery. I wish I wasn't so scared. Well, let me do some therapy for Mars, because obviously this is a topic that's associated with Mars. Now, of course, you can connect this with your birth chart, and you should, to find out about specifically what are the specific problems that are inhibiting your bravery, for example, and that should be your focus while you're doing your therapy of Mars, right? But it's different from the common approach to astrological therapy, where it just kind of works with the chart as the root, and then the prescription comes out of the chart. And this, in Prashar's approach, you work with the person as the root, and then you use the chart as a support. Okay? So we talked about why mantras are so important, because the whole world is experienced through your mind. And your mind is basically a big word machine, word processing unit. And therefore, if you put the right words into your mind, it changes the way your mind interacts with the world. And when it changes with the way your mind interacts with the world, it changes your world. So that's why mantra is so powerful. These words, the mantras are made of words, and that's why the mantras are so powerful to make radical changes in your life. We mentioned that mantras are made of words, not sounds, special sounds called words. So it's not just that you're listening to a vibration or you're hearing some frequency or something. You're hearing words that have meaning. And you have to be cognizant of the meaning of the words in order for the mantra to have its effect. So what we said in that initial live session that we did about these mantras is that most of the practice of a mantra doesn't happen while you're chanting or meditating on the mantra. It happens while you're learning about the mantra. That's most of your sadhana, that's most of your devotion, that's most of your bhakti, is to figure out the mantra and really try to understand what the words mean, how they fit together, how it applies to you, etc., etc. That's what you have to do with the mantra. It's not a little crystal ball, it's not a little sugar pill, where you just get something and you say, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, and then you suddenly get a car. Though I'll tell you a funny story. I don't know why I tell this story, but I think it's just because it's so odd, and I can hardly believe that it happened to me. But I don't like to tell a story because this is not the way mantras work. But sometimes these things will happen to you if you just need a push or some faith or something. I won't even tell you the story. Now you need to know the story. The story. No, I'm not going to tell you the story. So anyway, so we did the thing about the mantras, and then we started going into, here's the mantra that Parashar recommends for the sun. And the first thing we noticed was it wasn't Om Sum Suryaya Nama, right? It wasn't a simple little tantra, just which is basically like a riff, an elaborated riff on a word. You can always make a tantric mantra by just riffing on a word. Like if you have a word, cupcake, you could say om kam cupcake, and you can get your tantric mantra for it. So it's not very powerful. It's more just like a frequency or a vibration, making you concentrate on that sound. But the Vedic mantras are they're really pregnant with meaning in the words. And Praja has selected really brilliant Vedic mantras from Shukla Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda, Atharva Veda, and Rig Veda. Samveda also. So this is probably the part of the Praja or Horror Shastra which is actually ancient, because this person, whoever wrote this, really knew the Vedas to be able to find these verses. Or maybe not, but in any case, it's very, very brilliant. The particular mantras that he picked for the particular planets. So we looked at the sun's mantra, the moon's mantra. Then last week while I was in Chicago, we looked at the Mercury mantra and the Venus mantra. So today we're up to Mars and Jupiter, right? Sorry. Well, there's not that many people here today, so I'll tell you my story, okay? The story was, I heard about this particular mantra when I was like 18 or 19 years old, and I thought, this has got to be a hoax. This has got to be like a cult or something. So, but it's so interesting. I'm so interested in this, and I think I want to get involved in this, but these people are weird, and this whole idea is weird, so let me test it. And so I said, if I chant this mantra... Oh, and I had just gotten into a car accident. Very small car accident, but where I damaged somebody's sports car, and I was only 18, so it was a bit of a problem. So I said, well, if I chant this mantra, then if this car accident goes away, so, like some big, huge, magical thing, then I know that it's true. Which is totally stupid. I don't recommend anybody to do this. But sometimes when fate really wants you to get involved in something, it'll do something wild like this to make you do it. So then I did it. I chanted the mantra, and then the next day my friend called me up and said the guy dropped the case against us because his car got stolen. So then I spent the next 10 years of my life dedicated to meditation on this mantra. Okay, so that's my story. Let's see, Monica, you have a question. If Mars affects or is the ruler of Upchai houses, will it provide beneficial results? For instance, 6th house place in the 1st. So this is the difference between Parashar's approach and the approach that you're used to and the place where you're asking your question from. Parashar's approach is, who cares about your chart? Think about your life. If you've got a problem, think about Mars. You should try to learn what Mars represents. If you've got a problem and you can trace that problem, or an issue, not even a problem, but something you want to improve, and you want to trace that, if you want to trace that problem to a planet, that's where your key is to be able to use this effectively. You understand? So then if you say, okay, so I got some problem with, I feel like I have a problem with Mars. Then if you think, well, Mars is ruling the 6th house and it's in the 3rd house. Well, that shouldn't be my problem. That should be good, but maybe something is wrong with it because maybe I'm too strong. Maybe I'm too overbearing. Maybe I'm too athletic and macho and military for the role that I'm playing. Relative to, if you're a woman, then that might be, it's not too hard to step on somebody's toes by being a little bit too manly. So whatever. After you feel like you have a problem in a certain area of life and you trace that problem to a planet, then you look at the planet in your chart to let it teach you about where this problem really lies. Then you use the mantra and the other techniques in the chapter to help you. Yeah? So surgeries, surgeries will just be anything. Surgery is very, very, very something that's happening very much in the outside world. So it's going to take you much longer time to affect that because it's already happening in the outside world. So here, let me explain something about karma. Okay, karma is either in the state of bija, which is just a seed form, which is just your inclination to selfish action. Everybody has this inclination. That's the bija of karma. It's the inclination to act selfishly, to act for our own sake. Then it also, that's actually called a kuta. And then there's a bija, which is where you actually have specific desires, which are self-oriented. And then those are also forms of karma. But those are actually very difficult to modify. You need to do very, very deep sadhanas to modify those. But the desires are not so hard to modify. They can be modified by powerful things like mantras. Then what the desires do is they inspire actions. So then the actions can be changed by changing your desires, which can be done by mantras. And then the actions will create situations, right? The actions that you perform create your situations. So the actions are called karma itself. That's actually what the word karma means, is the action that you take based on your bija, your desire. But then the situation that will result from the action is of two types. At first most of the action is aprarabdha, and then it gradually becomes more and more prarabdha. Rabdha means it's actually fructified. It's borne its fruit. Prarabdha means it's come into fruition. So like if you throw a bowling ball down the lane, it's got its aprarabdha as it's leaving your hand, but right away it all converts to prarabdha, and the ball goes down the lane and hits the pins, right? So when the prarabdha karma, the one that's actually already manifesting, like the ball hitting the pins, is the furthest away from your mind. It's in the chain of how you get results from desires. The actual results thing are the furthest away in the chain from you, from your mind. So if you have a problem that's very physical oriented, then you're going to need to put more effort to change it, because you're going to have to change more steps in the link. It's still the same technique. But there's other techniques. You can actually go to a doctor, etc., 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 to take care of your physical things. But that's also, and it's not that you should stop that. You should always address your concerns on the practical level that's appropriate to them. But it's like pulling up dandelions. If you don't pull all the way down to the bottom of the root, they come back up. So even when you address a physical concern physically, which is important to do, but if you don't also address the desire behind the actions that caused it, and the desire behind the actions, then the conditions recur, because you're still generating those conditions. So where it's surgeries, you would need to look in your chart to get some kind of clue as to why the injuries have happened, why the malfunctions are happening, what kind of symbolism is the malfunction associated with. That will give you some clue as to the actions that had generated that in the past. And then that can become a part of how you're visualizing the mantra that you're using. Okay? Let's see. Angel has a question. This may be off topic, but with the whole picture thing of the graha, since I can't draw, would it be okay to print it out in color? Definitely. You don't have to draw it. You can draw it. You don't have to draw it. You can print out this one, like the one that's on the screen. You guys can see me, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Shall we get started here with Mars? Because I would answer your questions about your charts and stuff, but if this was a class about that, but this is a class about these mantras, so. Yeah, now, so Monica, this mantra for Mars can be maybe a way, because certainly, like you already know, surgery has to do with cutting and penetrating. So that's a very important theme of Mars. Now, almost every time really, there's just a predominating planet of an issue. Like surgery has predominantly got Mars. But depending on what's being operated on, there's going to be a subplanet that's involved in it. So you would really probably need an astrologer to give you a full therapy, what would you call it? Curriculum. Okay. But I think you get the idea. All right. Want to look at the mantra for Mars? This mantra is from the Rig Veda, and it's from the 8th book, 44th mandala, and it's the 16th couplet in that. Or it's not a couplet, it's a Gayatri in there, okay? So, Rig Veda, it says, agnir rdha divah kakut patih thivya ayam apam retangshi jinvati. Agnir rdha divah kakut 8. Patih thivya ayam 7. Apam retangshi jinvati 8. 878. It's not quite a Gayatri. This happens sometimes. This might be a separate meter. But there's 8 syllables on the first line, 7 on the second, and 8 on the third. That's how you can check if you're doing it right. It's one of the basic ways. Just make sure you get the right number of syllables. Agnir rdha divah kakut patih thivya ayam apam retangshi jinvati. Right? This is the mantra that will adjust the way our minds interact with everything that Mars represents. So let me tell you about the words. Yes, so this is interesting, right? First of all, the reference to Mars here is Agni. And the word Agni is the word that starts this mantra, and it means fire, and it's another name for Mars. So he's saying, he's addressing fire, Agnihi, murdha, rise. So the mantra is calling for fire to flare up, to rise up. So Mars represents fire. So with this mantra, you're inflaming or fanning the fire of Mars. Now, what's that good for? Well, think about the things that fire is good for. Right? It can be energy, brightness, clarity, confidence, strength, digestive power, vitality, the inspiration. So just hearing those first 2 words, again, with most of these mantras, just the very first 2 words are enough to help you. Agnir rdha, just make the fire rise. Divah kakut, diva is the sky, but it's the blue sky, the bright sky. Kakut, become the crown of. So it's calling for Agni to rise up and become the crown of the sky, like the sun. So Mars is being addressed here like it was the sun climbing up to high noon. So saying this, let your fire rise up and crown the heavens. Patih thivya ayam is the second line, right? The first line is Agni rdha divah kakut, fire rise, Mars rise, crown the sky. Mars rise, crown the skies. Now, patih thivya ayam. This is also an interesting reference to Mars. Now, because Mars is the son of Prithvi, the earth. And the sun is always the caretaker. Should be, after the sun grows up, the sun should be the caretaker of the mother. It should protect, be the, especially if the father dies, then the son should be the one who makes sure the mom is always okay, right? So patih doesn't mean husband always. Patih means to protect. So become the protector of ayam prithva, this whole earth. Right? So it's like when the sky is dark, it's like the earth has no protector. And then strange creatures come out, thieves come out, and the world gets perilous when the sky is dark. When the fire rises, then the place becomes safe because the bad guys run away from this power that comes up into the sky. So even if it's something like a physical disease that you're dealing with, then this mantra can take this shape of inside your body. Let the fire of Mars, which is a very purifying force, rise and protect this earth. This earth means your body. So all of the, whatever it is, bad cells, whatever they are, will flee, will run away from this fire, or will get burned by this fire. Agnir murdha divah kakut patih prithivya ayam. So ayam is an important word. They're all important words, but I can point out to you why ayam is an important word. Ayam means this. So it's a very flexible word. This is just a pronoun, so it will be very flexible to the specific thing that you want, that you're dealing with Mars. How exactly do you envision this earth? Prithivya ayam. It's going to be dependent upon the issue that's really in your mind. Patih prithivya ayam. And also this is important because this means here and now, in this world. So Mars problems are not really spiritual problems or far-fetched problems. They're immediate, real problems. And then it says, apam retangshi jinvati. Retamshi is like a seed, right? So Mars is virility also. Mars is sexual energy. Mars is that testosterone. Mars is fundamentally maleness. Venus is fundamentally femaleness. So the maleness of Mars, it's like the way we think of the hormone testosterone. And testosterone is what gives drive and ambition and hunger, and it gives aggression when it becomes excessive, because you're going to go and take the thing that you want. So Mars is the one who's associated with the seed. It's not Venus. This is misunderstood by the terminology that's used, that Shukra also has to do with reproductive fluids. But Shukra is the whole power which is inside the body. It's the brilliance which is inside the body. Okay, so you can say Shukra is the power, which is the strongest part of the power goes into your reproductive fluid. But Mars is also your reproduction, because it has to do with the seeds. And that Parashar is bringing it out by pointing to this verse as being essential for Mars. This last line is that in this prithivya, in this earth, there's been a seed that's been planted. And that seed has to be jinvati. It has to be brought to life. It has to be vitalized. You see, the seed has been planted. It has to be vitalized. How? By the fire that rises up into the sky. That's what vitalizes the seed, right? The heat from the sun vitalizes the seed and makes it grow. So that's what the mantra is saying. Fire, rise up, crown the heavens, come up into the heavens. Protect this earth. So that's the first thing that will happen, was the strength of the light in the sky will protect the earth. And the second thing that will happen is it will vitalize the earth, vitalize the seeds in the earth. Let's see what you guys are writing. Mars is going to have a lot to do with desires, yes. Combative. Mars in the 6th house is very good. So this is what you need to learn about astrology is you are going to have to balance a dozen things. Okay, but one of the factors is what house is the planet in. So the fact that Mars in the 6th house, that's a very good factor. Maybe it's in Cancer in the 6th house, then that's going to be complicated. Or maybe it's got Saturn's aspect or conjunction or something that's going to make things, or maybe with the moon in the 6th house or Venus in the 6th house, that's going to make things more complicated. You have to balance all these things. But before you're able to balance things, you have to know what they mean independently. And so Mars independently in the 6th house means a very good ability to fight. And that means you know who you should fight, and you fight that person relentlessly, or you fight that thing relentlessly. That's like Mars in the 6th house. Now, if you get it screwed up, then it can make a different interpretation. Yeah, so Mars and Venus, when they get to, they both represent the two hormones, the two gender hormones. So you can get hormonal issues, but this will be a good mantra for it. Also, the Venus mantra would be a good mantra for it, for balancing the hormones. Now the hormones are part of the mercurial system. Actually, this is interesting, but what hormones and chemicals and all those firing nerve things are is prana. It's the way that we understand prana in modern terms. So what prana does is it creates a bridge between the mind and the body, and that's what all those hormones and pituitary glands and electrochemical stuffs. That's what they are. So those things can be addressed really well and easily by mantra, because they're very close to the actual mind itself. So you can make rapid advancement in balancing the hormones and things like that by doing mantra meditation. Mars out of balance and retrograde, will that be a crazy Mars? Sounds like it'll be a crazy Mars. We always get crazy Marses though. Life's crazy. Don't worry, it's not going to be the end of the world. That's the other thing too that's nice about astrology is no matter, when you understand astrology, no matter how horrible something is, the planets kept moving. No matter what kind of a crazy configuration they got into, they kept moving after that. They didn't fall apart. And so the same way, no matter what you got in your chart, the transits keep going. They keep changing. It's going to keep changing. You think it's not the end of the world. All right, now let me tell you a couple of situations that this mantra is good for. All right, I would say there's especially 3 types of problems that really call for the Mars mantra. First of all, if you're lethargic, if you have problem waking up in the morning, if you feel uninspired, not just physically lethargic, but if you feel lethargic, if you feel low physical energy, if you feel weak, then this mantra is really good. Because in that case, then the first line of the mantra is very, very important. Agnir, rdha, divah, kakut. Now what I'll do is why don't I put this in there? See if I can put it in right now. I'll put it in the description of the video. So later you can check the description of the video and these mantras will be there. Agnir rdha divah kakut is very good for the person. That's what you really want to focus on if you're using this mantra to deal with physical weakness or laziness, stuff like that. Because that's the line that's saying, hey, fire, rise up, take the crown, become strong. Okay, so that's one type of situation that should really use this mantra. The other one is the mental form of that. Okay, the physical form of lack of energy, you want to think about fire, rise up. The emotional form of lack of energy. Because what is the emotional form of lack of energy? It's lack of an interest in life. There's nothing that's getting you out of bed. Because there's nothing, why should I get out of bed? There's nothing to do. Nothing that I want to do. So, the second line, patih thivya ayam, is very important. Because this is the kind of line that a king has, The king wants to become the thivya patih, like Prithu, the greatest king in the history of the Puranas, was Prithu. And he became the patih of the Priti. He became the husband of the earth. So he took care of the whole entire globe, more or less, as far as what they knew at the time, or as far as we knew. So, that's a very kingly aspiration, is patih thivya ayam. Make me the master of the world. This is, like I said, the way I explained that line before was protect the earth. But patih also means master. So, the connotation of the word patih is make me the master of the universe. Let this fire rise up into the sky so I can become the king of the earth. So that's a very good way to think of the mantra if you're dealing with fighting depression. Because the key to depression is that there's no goal that you feel like you can achieve. That's the key psychological key that what makes us depressed, is we feel like there's no goal that's possible for us to achieve. So this one will say, I'm going to have a goal. I'm going to have a goal. And you don't have to think, well, this goal is ridiculous, I don't want to be the master of the earth. You tailor the meaning of earth to the thing that would inspire you. Let me become the master of that earth. Maybe it's the kitchen where you're going to cook. You're going to learn how to make cupcakes. It can be anything. Maybe it's going to be this skateboarding. Prithivya was going to be my field. My Prithivya actually literally means the field. Let me be the best in my field. That's another way of saying patih thivya ayam. In this field, let me be the best. By bringing up my inspirations. So the mantra will constantly, the more that you think about this mantra and say these words, patih thivya ayam, the more that your mind will think, there is something that I want to achieve. There is something that I can achieve. And that's what will kick depression out and get you out of bed and make you feel like energized for living. Agnir murdha divah kakut, let this fire rise up. Patih thivya ayam, let me become with this fire, with this power of the fire, let me become the best. Let me master my field. And then the third type of issue that this is very good for is, basically it's all about energy, right? So it's either physical energy issue, emotional energy issue, or sexual energy. Mars, I'm going to try to get Nadia Shah and Jessica Leynadu on to do some interviews on my channel, because they have very good things to say about Mars and how it relates to sexuality and relationships. But definitely because Mars is testosterone, you can't take Mars out of the sexuality equation. It's ridiculous. Mars is the thing that gives you the edge, the desire. So if you're having sexual problems, fertility problems, infertility, male infertility, especially male, what do they call that? Can't function right, that stuff, that kind of problem. Or even female, if a female has lack of interest in sex, it's still a Mars problem. It's a Mars problem. And females don't need that much testosterone, but you need a little bit. Otherwise you get no hunger. So anything where there's like a lack of interest in procreation, lack of interest in sexuality, lack of enthusiasm or confidence for it, this will be an important mantra for that. Rise up, fire. Prithivya. Now the word Prithivya will take a little bit of a different twist, but now it's the field, which, as they'll say in the Vishaka Nakshatra Sutras, it's a field to be plowed. So let me become the plower of the field, or let my field be plowed. Stuff like that. That's how the thivya will, that word thivya, see how these words will, the same word will show you a different image depending on what you need from it. Apam retamshi jinvati. So that third line is especially important for the sexual power of this mantra, which is to vitalize my seeds, to vitalize my vital juices, is down here. Okay? So I recommend this mantra for primarily those three problems. Any problem where there's any type of lack of ambition and drive. Determination also. Let's see what else you got here. Mental fog, good. If the fire comes up in the sky, things will become clear. Ayam means this. Yam might be the seed for the heart chakra, but this is not the word yam. It's the word ayam. Ayam is just a pronoun, means this. I put the mantra in the description, so don't worry about it. Valentis wants to know if there's how many times you should recite this or any specific time. That's college graduate stuff. First of all, you got to know what the mantra means. That's your first mantra seva. Your first worship of the mantra is to learn what it means exactly. Become very familiar with it. Learn how to pronounce it. Learn some of the other connotations of the words before you even sit it down and try to do it the first time. Your whole seva, the real mantra practice, comes from learning it. Then worry about how many times to do it, when to do it, stuff like that. There is a number, I forget what Prashar says, it's some huge number, but even that number is a dose. Like, when you say take a pill, take 2 of these in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 at night. So that's a dose. So even if it says 11,000 times chant the mantra, that doesn't mean that when you get to 11,000 recitations, you stop. That's what you're considered to be one dose. Then you can take a break. And then the next time you'll do it again. And also these numbers, 11,000, they're round numbers. You chant mantras on malas, that's how you count them. You know what a mala is? It's a strand. A mala is a strand of beads. It will be 108 or some multiple of 108. So it's actually not going to be 11,000 squared. It will be something like 110 malas. Right? 10 malas is 1,000. 100 malas is 10,000 and change. So you want to do like 100 malas usually, 100 times around a bead strand. But that's like PhD level stuff. Just start with understanding the mantras. Okay, so one final time for this one. Agnir murtha divah kakut patih pritva ayam apang retang jinvati. Okay? Okay. You find out. You can find out if it's better in the morning, if it's better on Tuesday, if it's better, whatever works for you. It's not like it's... Please understand, you might go back a couple of recordings to where I first introduced what mantras are all about. They're not magic spells. They are magic spells, but they're real magic spells. So they're not little hocus-pocus Disney magic spells. Or like Curiosity Store magic spells. They're real magic spells. They really work. So they work with the thing that's real, which is your mind. They don't work with abracadabras, hocus pocuses. They're not rituals. So good for us. Thankfully for us, they're not rituals because we're not qualified. We don't know how to do rituals anymore. So it's not terribly... But the people that do rituals and charge you to do rituals are going to tell you that you have to do it on Tuesday at such and such a clock and facing this direction and all that stuff. But actually speaking, it's not a ritual. You don't have to do it like that. If you're good at it, you can do it like that. If it works for you, go ahead. But the real thing is, I'm going to say it again, learn what this mantra means. That is 90% of the mantra's power. Learn what the mantra means. Learn some of the other possibilities of what the mantra means, like by understanding the Sanskrit words themselves and their connotations. Okay. I shall keep going. Let's do Jupiter's mantra. Jupiter's mantra is interesting. Because Jupiter is definitely a benefic, but you're going to see what kind of benefic he is. So Jupiter's mantra is, where is it from? I haven't made a note of where it's from. Let me see. It's too much for me. My computer is on top of the book that has the mantra in it. So anyway, it's from one of the 4 Vedas. It says bṛhaspate. So there you go. That's the word for Jupiter. Each mantra has some reference to the planet itself in it. In Mars's case, it was Agni. Here in Jupiter's mantra, it's bṛhaspate. Bṛhaspate ati yadaryo arhād. Dyuma dvibhāti kratum ajjaneṣu. Dayac chavasarta praja. Dayac chavasarta praja. Tadasmasu dravinam dhehi citram. Okay, one more time there. Bṛhaspate ati yadaryo arhād. Dyuma dvibhāti kratum ajjaneṣu. Dayac chavasarta praja. Tadasmasu dravinam dhehi citram. Okay, so let's think about the word bṛhaspate. This is your nominative noun for Jupiter, right? This is a very important word to understand. Bṛhaspate. It's got the same word patih as the Mars mantra had. Patih means to master or to protect or to take possession of. Bṛha means big, expanding, getting bigger. So what the word bṛhaspate means is the master. It means master of expansion. This is the way that we refer to. This is one of the ways that we refer to Jupiter as the master of expansion. Anybody familiar with astrology of any school will know that Jupiter signifies big things, expansive things, growing things, growths, right? So that's what the word means, bṛhaspate. Ati yadarya. Ati means very, very. And yadarya, arya means very good. Arya means good. So Jupiter is very good. Yadaryo. Bṛhaspate ati yadarya. Arhād. Arhād means very just, very proper, very correct, very moral, very worthy, very honorable. So what Jupiter is very, very honorable morals. See, this is the thing about Jupiter. This is about morals. So if you're getting problems with morals, promise keeping, responsibility keeping, stuff like that, being good, following laws, following rules, keeping promises, keeping contracts, then this is your mantra. Bṛhaspate ati yadaryo arhād. Jupiter wants to give nice things which are arhād, which are well-deserved, which are appropriate, which are correct. So this is the difference between Jupiter and Venus. Venus just wants to be beautiful and give people beauty. Jupiter is thinking whether or not you deserve it. So Jupiter is also giving you good stuff. Ati yadarya, very good stuff. But he's not giving it willy-nilly. He's giving it to the person who deserves it. So that's an important thing. Bṛhaspate ati yadaryo arhād dyuma dvibhāti. Kratum ajjaneṣu. That this is out. The dyuma means smoke or fog. Dvibhāti, twilight. Kratum. Now, kratu is an indirect reference to a Vedic ceremony, and Bṛhaspate is the one who knows how to do the ceremonies. In the mythology of the Puranas, which doesn't mean fake stories, it just means the legendary stories of the Puranas. The character bṛhaspate is the one who knows exactly how to do every ritual. And by doing that, it knows how to get all kinds of results. Yadaryo, arhād. If you do this ritual, you'll get that result. You don't deserve that result if you didn't do this ritual. So there's a fog surrounding the kratum. Now, these days we can't do rituals. It's Kali Yuga. We don't know how to do rituals. And I'm going to do a video about the yugas. Don't worry. But anyway, we're not a ritual-oriented society anymore, but we still have kratum in our endeavors. Now our ritual is wake up at 6 or whatever, wake up at 7, go to the bathroom, eat a breakfast, put on your whatever, get out the door, go to work, do the things you have to do at work, go to lunch break, come back, keep working, come home, do this, take a break, go to sleep, do it again. That's our ritual. So we still have ritual, it's just not very systematic, or it's just not very beautiful. But the ritual is just the kratum. The kratum, what it really means is the effort given. So there's a fog concerning what effort, how to put in your effort. So we can't really understand what we should do to be able to get the results that we want. That's the Jupiter issue. Jupiter is the one who knows, you want this result? Do this. If you do that, you'll get that result. If you do this other thing, you'll get this result. That's where Jupiter is expert. So when you feel like, oh God, I don't know what to do. I know what I want, but I don't know how to get it. Then you have a Jupiter issue. Or if you think, I know what I want to do, but I don't know what it's going to result in. You also have a Jupiter issue, where you don't understand connections between the effort and the result. So this one is asking for that fog, that dyuma, that twilight fog, dyuma dvibhāti, to be cleared from around that. Okay? Dayac chavasarta prajata. So when that when the fog clears, then two things happen. The shadow of the falsehood, the chavasarta, becomes destroyed. The chavasa becomes dayac. It gets destroyed. And then the rdha becomes prajata, becomes proliferated. So the rdha means the truth will proliferate, will increase, will become more clear. And the confusion will become decreased. Okay, dayac is decrease. The confusion, chava. So rdha, chavasa. Rdha, the truth, prajata, will become more increased. So the mantra is giving an image of there's a smoky twilight and you're trying to do something in the middle of this big fog to get some goal, but you don't know exactly what you should do or where the things are. You can't see very well. So you call to Jupiter to dispel the fog of the twilight. And by dispelling that's the first two lines, to dispel the fog of the twilight, so that you can achieve the wonderful goal that you will deserve by your efforts. Jupiter requires your effort a little bit. That's why it's not a totally soft benefic. It's a benefic with a little bit of spine. So it's going to say you need to make a little bit of effort. You make a little bit of effort, I'll give you a lot of reward. So bṛhaspate yadaryo arhād means, okay, I'm ready to work for my goal, but dyuma dvibhāti kratum ajjaneṣu, I'm not really clear about what I should do. So please get rid of this fog by dayac, decreasing my confusion, and prajata, increasing my clarity. Okay? Tadasmasu dravinam dhehi citram. When that happens, then the dravina, the thing which we treasure, the treasured objective, dhehi, is given to us. Citram, in a most beautiful way. And Jupiter is, the star is very chitra. It's very beautiful, very sparkly and beautiful. Okay, so basically the mantra means the master of expansion, Jupiter, the master of growth, gives the most wonderful, just rewards out of the smoke and twilight, born from the mother of our efforts, destroying the falsehood and proliferating the truth, and by so doing grants us the most wondrously beautiful wealth. Let's see what you have to say, and then I'll give a couple of instances. What time is my next appointment? Okay, I got another appointment I got to worry about. All right, so I'll write this down I'll copy this into the text, the description. There you go. It should update in a couple of seconds. Okay, yeah, so any questions about this Jupiter mantra? Where do you think it's going to be very important and useful? If you're just confused, and it's not like the Mars. The Mars mantra is like you're depressed, or you don't have an ambition. You don't really have an inspiration in life. You can't get the energy that you want. That's when the Mars mantra comes into effect. The Jupiter mantra is a different stage. It's like you know what you want, and you have inspiration for it, but you don't know how you're going to get it. And you are stumbling around in the dark a bit. You're making efforts, but they seem so ineffective. So when efforts seem ineffective, then it's a Jupiter issue. Jupiter is the one who rewards the efforts. So when the efforts are proving ineffective, you have to turn to Jupiter and say, what's going on here? I need help. I need you to show me what I should be doing more of, what I should be doing less of. That's what the third line is, right? What to be doing more of, what to be doing less of. Show me the clarity, like Monica just said. Show me the clarity in this path that is surrounded by fog in the twilight. Now, I also said that it's good for people. This is a good mantra for if you're having an issue with morality and keeping promises, because then you're going to proliferate on the dark side. Like you're going to go towards the false endeavor to get your happiness. You see what I'm saying? Like there's a confused way to get happiness, and there's an appropriate way to get happiness. Everybody wants happiness, but if you can't seem to do it the way that's arhād, or the way that's just and moral and right, then it's a Jupiter issue. You need Jupiter. You just show me, how can I get what I want without being immoral? Jupiter, the mantra will help you find that. Oh, I didn't put it in the English. Okay, sorry about that. I'll put in the English translation. And then I'll say it one more time. So I can't answer PhD level questions or even university or high school level questions, because you need to see the whole chart with that, So I can't answer like, what if Mars is ruling over this, or this Mars is opposing that, and Jupiter's in that. If you start mixing things, you better mix them all. Okay? You gotta mix them all. Otherwise, you might be giving the wrong answer. All right, guys. I'm gonna call it quits now. Next session, we'll see how it goes. I think next week, we'll try to finish up the planetary mantras. We'll do Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. in the next week. And then after that, the week after that, let's do a video about the yugas, the great cycles of time. And then after that, we'll think of something new to do. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget my website, vicdecara.com. Go and check it out. Thank you all. Radhe Sham.